On Monday, Kalen DeBoer was leading his Washington Huskies against Michigan in the national championship game. On Wednesday, he was shocked to learn, along with the entire college football world, that Nick Saban had announced his retirement. Now today, on Saturday, DeBoer was officially introduced as the 28th head football coach at Alabama. DeBoer said he doesn't even know what day of the week it is anymore because this has all been such a whirlwind. But for now, I'm going to go see if I can get a beignet finally because I've been waiting for that. New head coach, a lot of roster turnover, making it a pretty young squad, but clearly that doesn't matter because the Havoc are here in the final week of April as one of the final two teams still standing in the SPHL. Now, yes, Stuart Steffen is in his first season as the Havoc bench boss, but he is no stranger to this organization or what it takes to win a championship here in the Rocket City. Well, they don't call the Iron Bowl one of college football's greatest rivalries for no reasons. From 1893 to now in 2023, there have been some upsets, some dominant wins, and some moments you just wouldn't be able to believe. As one chapter comes to an end, a new one begins as Kalen DeBoer takes over this Crimson Tide program, a program that's recognized as one of the most dominant in the nation, thanks in large part to Coach Saban. And whether you love him or you hate him, if you know college football, then you know that Nick Saban is one of the greatest to ever do it at this level. It's hard to put all of this into words, but for the next 30 minutes, we're going to try to do that as we dive into Coach Saban's legacy, both on and off the field. And for an offensive guy, Coach DeBoer definitely pleased with the way his offense looked, especially his running backs. That room combined for 206 rushing yards. All 4 touchdowns in the game were scored on the ground. Jam Miller had 2 of those, earning spring game MVP. Thanks to an ugly third inning where the Gamecocks hit 3 home runs, and then they were just unable to figure out Chris Veach's changeup. He had 6 strikeouts in 5+ innings of relief as South Carolina gets the 10-5 win, making it Alabama's first one and done here at the SEC tournament since 2014. When Hugh Freeze leads the Auburn Tigers onto the field at Jordan-Hare Stadium on September 2nd, there will be a lot of unknowns for this first-year Auburn head coach and what his team will look like. But one thing that Freeze does feel pretty good about is his kicker, Fort Payne's own Alex McPherson. The SEC Player and Freshman of the Year, Brandon Miller, was held scoreless in this game. That's not something we've seen very often from Miller, so we'll see if he'll be able to rebound on Saturday in round 2. Well, eagles are powerfully built birds of prey ruling the sky while Trojans defend their cities on land. They don't usually cross paths, but tonight the two shared the same 100 yards as Athens and Muscle Shoals went head-to-head in a battle of unbeatens. Welcome into Football Friday, Week 3 edition. I'm Claudia Chakamian. This year has been a bit of a roller coaster, to say the least, for the Alabama men's basketball team. There were some highs, scoring at least 100 points for an SEC best 10th time this season and beating rivals Auburn at Coleman Coliseum. But there were also some tough spots, a brutal non-conference schedule, 3 straight top 10 opponents, all resulting in losses. The Tide also stumbled to the end of the regular season, losing 3 of their last 5 and needing overtime to beat Arkansas. They earned a top 4 seed for the SEC tournament, but it didn't matter. It was a short trip to Nashville, going one and done, and a loss to Florida. So there were a lot of questions for what Alabama could do in the NCAA tournament. They opened with a pretty dominant 109-96 win over the College of Charleston. So good start. Then they had a tough, gritty, physical game against Grand Canyon and grinded out a 72-61 win to advance to back-to-back Sweet 16s. That was a performance Alabama really needed, and that carried over to LA. Another tough physical battle resulted in an upset of top seed UNC and the program's first Elite 8 since 2004. So with some momentum and a whole lot of confidence, Alabama made even more history Saturday night, getting the 89-82 win over Clemson, avenging one of those early season non-conference losses to advance to the Final Four for the first time in program history. And after this journey of a year, it made the moment of cutting down the nets in Los Angeles even sweeter. A celebration fit for a champion. A gold medalist, that is. Florence golfer Price Hulcom, alongside his dad and unified partner Les, brought home the gold medal as a part of Special Olympics USA at Special Olympics World Games in Berlin last month.
It was 4 days of golf, and it was just so much relief because we'd been leading.
On Friday, Florence Mayor Andrew Betterton announced a special proclamation.
Price Hulcom weekend.
While giving Price a key to the city.
But here's a key to the city of Florence.
This is probably one of my favorite experiences as mayor ever.
It's just amazing that this young man, who did work so very hard to win this medal, is getting this much recognition, this much love and respect from his city.
Price was born with Down syndrome, but he and his family have never let that stop him from dreaming big and being a golfer just like the rest of his family.
He has two brothers, an older one and a younger one, and we just expected him to do everything they did. He might not do it as well, and he might take longer to do it, but we expected him to do everything that his brothers were doing.
Price's parents always knew he was destined for big things, even if there were some doubters along the way.
There was a doctor that told us when he was a baby, oh, he'll never do anything athletically. We found a new doctor the next day. Not only has he done golf through Special Olympics, but he's done track and field, he's done bowling, he's played basketball, all through Special Olympics. He's done way more than anybody ever expected he could do, except his parents. We expected him to do anything he wanted to do.
Now with the support of his family and community, Price continued to prove those doubters wrong, found a sport he loves, and now has the hardware to go along with those skills.
When he was born and diagnosed with Down syndrome, people wouldn't expect that he would do something like that on a world stage, and so it was a pretty emotional moment.
Most any of us could do what we set our mind to. And obviously Price is a perfect example. And I'm just proud of him, proud for his family.
And Price says he's thankful for it all.
My family, my brothers,
Thank you to the city.
first city.
Kyle Clark has always loved hockey, even during some difficult times over the years. But now, in his third season with the Huntsville Havoc, Kyle is hoping to be a role model and inspiration to those just like him. Growing up in Ontario, getting into hockey came naturally for Kyle Clark.
I started skating right around when I was maybe 4 years old. Kind of started playing hockey when I was 6.
But it didn't come without some challenges. Kyle comes from a biracial family of 4, something that felt completely normal to him until he got older.
When you're young, I never really thought anything was unusual about that. It was just, it was just part of my life. It wasn't until I got a bit older where I had a couple instances where they would make some comments and I would have some things said to me, whether it was at school, even at hockey I would have. There was a couple times when I had, slurs, said to me. I never really knew kind of where I belonged. I was a little bit kind of lost when I was a little bit younger because I wasn't black enough to hang out with the black kids, but I was too black to kind of hang out with the white kids. So it took me a while to kind of like understand who I am and what being a mixed, child from a black father and a white mother is all about.
And through those difficult times of, discovering yourself, figuring out where you belong, even though there were times where you weren't treated the right way, how much did hockey help you during that time?
It helped me tremendously. Like, I never blamed hockey for what happened or things that would happen. It gave me so much joy and passion. I always looked forward to it. It was always the best part of my day. So I couldn't give that up just because I had a handful of bad experiences.
Unfortunately, his father faced some of the same negativity, but since his dad had been through it, Kyle was able to learn a lot from those shared experiences.
He just told me, don't feed into it. You're going to run into people like that. And I know I have 20 other guys on my team who, support me. And I just try to really focus on like the people who are in my circle who, accepted me and, didn't want me to feel like an outsider.
What was it like for you growing up, starting to play hockey, but maybe looking on TV or around the rink and not seeing a lot of guys who looked like you?
When I was younger, I never thought of it that way. I just always thought, hockey was just a sport that anyone can play, and it is. I didn't even realize, but my favorite player growing up was Drew McGinley, and I never saw it as, I love him because he's also a mixed player. But I guess subconsciously, something about seeing him, and I guess I saw myself in him a little bit. I just thought he was always a great player, and I always wanted to play like him, and I actually got to meet him. And
a moment that still lives with Kyle more than a decade later.
It was really special, especially like you're turning back the clock to early 2000s, mid 2000s, when there wasn't a lot of diversity in the game at the time. Getting to meet him was a huge inspiration, just getting to see your idol and realize hey, this is a real person. I remember thinking I want to be like that. I want to be someone who has a time for everyone, and especially when it comes to younger kids who are either black, half black, or whatever ethnicity, who feel like maybe they don't belong in the game. I always wanted to make sure I had special time for them and wanted to talk to them and let them know that there shouldn't be any boundaries or anything stopping you from playing the game that you want to play.
Now in his third season with the Huntsville Havoc, Kyle is starting to see that color barrier break.
I didn't know what to expect. That the last few years, there's been a tremendous amount of mix of black players in the league, and it's awesome to see, and it's nice to It's nice to look down the rink and just, like give someone a little head nod and they give you like a little nod back and just kind of have that, mutual understanding.
What is it like to see that next generation of those kids who are getting inspired to get into hockey, and it doesn't matter what they look like?
I think it's important to have people see people that look like them and whatever they want to do. Like me growing up, seeing Jerome McGinley, I just naturally gravitated towards them. Just seeing someone that, is like you might give you that little extra motivation to like keep doing it, because it's like, maybe I can do this because there is someone like me doing it.
What would you want to tell 6-year-old self when you started playing hockey and you were trying to find your place and everything like that? What would you want to tell him about his journey the rest of the way?
I'd probably want to tell him like it's worth it. I wouldn't trade this experience for anything else. So I'd tell him to just keep going. We're getting to play a game that we've played for, since we're little kids as a job. It's pretty special and something that like I never as a little kid dreamed about doing. Getting to be someone that made it and get to say that they made it, I'll never take that for granted. And I'm really grateful for, everything that has happened to me.